often it's the filmmaker's job to put their characters in situations of danger to create tension. They have to make us wonder, how are they going to get out of this one? Are they going to have to kill? Are they going to be killed? Sometimes there's more than honor at stake, and some things a man just can't ride around. It's a matter of life or death. It's Horses on Film. Howdy, y'all. Welcome to episode 3 of Horses on Film. I'm Cameron Chapman. Hello, hello. This is the podcast dedicated to determining the top 100 Westerns of all time. And we're using as our guide the list put out by IndieWire in 2024 of what they feel are the top 100 Westerns of all time. And we'll be taking that list, we'll reorganize it and add, subtract, and hopefully come up with a list we can all be proud of. So thank you for coming with us on our little journey through the West. To do that, I got my co-hosts with me as always, David and Scott. There they are.
Hello.
Welcome.
Howdy.
There you go. That's very country.
Howdy. It's howdy, y'all, right?
Howdy, y'all.
You're a snake in my boot.
Exactly. Thank you for joining us again for episode 3. Episode 2, we covered The Professionals. What did you guys think?
I liked it. It was. I think I said it was an extremely average film.
Right, and we got an extremely average rating. So
Yeah.
It currently sits in the number 2 position because we've only watched 2 films. So it's right behind Unforgiven.
Not to live correct, but I'm pretty sure he said extremely average is what he gave Unforgiven.
Yeah. Oh, was it?
No. I think I gave slightly above average to Unforgiven.
Yes.
I gave it 3 stars. Scott's never gonna let me live that down.
No. I only mentioned it like 7 times when you're up here. No, it was the interesting thing, and I've said this before, is I haven't watched a lot of Westerns. So as I get into we'll talk about it at the end of the show, what we have planned for next week. I've never watched it. So it'll fresh eyes. It's one of the big ones, from what I understand. But the more and more I watch into these, plus what I've already seen some of the bigger names, the more and more I realize Unforgiven is really good. It's just
very good.
Maybe my ideal Western that it keeps hitting. This one's interesting, but I do like The Professionals more. Haven't watched this one.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. It was. We'll get into it when we.
Yeah. Well, right now, The Professionals is sitting at a 9 out of, it got a 9 out of 15, which is an average rating of 3. So I think that 3 to me out of 5 is a good film, and it's in there, but kind of a, it certainly didn't blow us out of the water. It was sitting at number 97 on the list, so it's not destined for the top 10. But maybe stays on the list, maybe slides off. We'll see. This one today, you talk about your ideal Western. This one today is a director, Bud Boetticher, not Boddicker, as I've been saying. That's the one error. Apparently, I've been pronouncing his name wrong my whole life. I've been saying Boddicker, and it's Boetticher. Although some people say Boddicker too, so I'm not sure where it stands.
Communication's about getting the idea across, right? So as long as people understand what you're saying.
It's one of those words that I've only ever read. I've never really heard people talk about them.
Yeah.
But anyway, his films to me are my ideal Westerns. And especially the run times. We're talking about movies that are under 80 minutes. And when I went through a little journey this week and I watched a bunch of them, almost all of them, of the Bedecker Scott Westerns, and it runs almost like a series. It's the themes are kind of the same. The settings are the same, the rocks and the exteriors, mostly exteriors over interiors in most of them. And to me, when I sit down and watch a Western, these are the ones. This is what I want to see. So there's kind of a bunch of them. The Scott Bedecker Westerns. It's sometimes referred to as the Renown cycle, being a portmanteau between Randolph and director's last name was Brown, or the producer's last name was Brown. So it's like a Renown.
Yeah.
So there's 7 Men from Now, The Tall T, the movie we're going to cover today, Decision at Sundown, Buchanan Rides Alone, Ride Lonesome, which is number 6 on this list. So that's a top 10 and one of my favorites. Westbound is kind of a bit of a lesser than, maybe doesn't quite qualify as a Renown, but it's still a Scott Bedecker. And Comanche Station.
Interesting.
And those all ran from 1956 to 1960. So that's 7 films in 4 years. Short run times. They were essentially low budget B movies. They were something that would play as part of a double screening. And different studios involved, different budgets involved, mostly written by the same guy, Burt Kennedy. There's a couple others. I think Charles Lang gets in there too, but they're very similar in theme. A lot of times they use the same dialogue. A lot of times they use the same setting. But again, for me, it just rings so Western, so natural, so economic. And as a filmmaker, screenwriter, they mean a lot to me in my process.
I wonder if they were shot today, it'd be like an anthology series on Netflix or something, especially with their length. Like it's like where, like a Love, Death and Robots, where it's like this, we're just going to continue with these themes, the Old West or Cowboys or whatever it is. And each one, like a Black Mirror, where each one of these is going to touch on.
It's really how it felt. They're just taking the same, the same actor playing different characters, but they're all kind of the same, and putting them in the same setting. And like a lot of these were like 12-day shooting, 18-day shooting, like that. Those are almost TV schedules.
Yeah. Well,
especially with these new kind of anthology series.
Wasn't Hell on Wheels like 1 week episodes?
They were, we would go 8 days, for an episode.
Yeah.
Sometimes it would be 7.5. They would, because we do 2 blocks at a time. So sometimes we would do a half day on each one.
Yeah. I think I watched some behind the scenes stuff, and I think I picked out it was about 7 days an episode. So yeah.
Yeah, and that runtime, because it was AMC, there was commercials. So the runtime is like between 41 and 46 minutes.
Yeah, yeah.
So
that 2/3 rule. Yeah.
Yeah, if we double that for these, I think it's probably a very similar production schedule, and maybe even roughly similar budgets. I think they were lucky to get $500,000 to shoot these in the.
Yeah, but what's the $500,000 today is like? Because Blumhouse shoots on like $4 million budget. That would be roughly the same, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I haven't done the conversion. I'm not sure what $500,000 in 1957 is.
Yeah.
I would say if I had to, I bet you it's close to. I mean, not an Apple TV budget, but I know when I worked on season 1 of The Last of Us, one episode, our set deck budget was higher than the set deck budget that same crew had on the Ghostbusters remake.
Yeah, when it comes to HBO, they're just throwing money at things.
Yeah, so they were working with more money on one episode of an HBO series than they were. So TV budgets are all over the place. But that said, I mean, I'd say if you made this movie today at a similar budget, I would say under 10.
Yeah.
You know, 5 to 7 probably would be.
Especially, and I'm shocked nowadays that Westerns aren't, like, budget-wise, they're fairly economical. And so, like, not a lot, I think we talked about this before, where it's not a lot of special effects overall. And so really it's a lot of your budget's probably in location shooting and getting all your cast and crew out there.
Yeah, horses. You know, there's an expense that comes with horses, and there's an expense that comes with gunfire, things like that. But you know, at the time, there was a lot of movie horses. There was a lot of Wranglers. There was a lot. They were shooting a lot of westerns. It was available to the studio. The wardrobes probably, you know, either came from a rental house or were owned by the studio. You know, so it probably. I mean, it was always said that the Western was an economic way of shooting a movie to begin with. These are economic Westerns. I think, you know, the money's on the screen in a big way.
Yeah.
I'm Googling.
I was going to say, is there anyone who could help us figure this out?
It's equivalent to $5.7 million.
Yeah. So Blumhouse has made a whole production on the idea of $4 million or less, right? So
yeah. So
like this movie, like, Blumhouse will do another 20 minutes on top of this, but it has less budget converted. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
But this movie's The Tall T. You want to get us started?
Yeah.
Dave, we can jump right into it.
Put this thing on, and we'll turn on some mood music.
That's my favorite.
Topped, torrid, tremendous. T is for terror. An independent former ranch foreman and an heiress are kidnapped by a trio of ruthless outlaws.
There we go. That's the synopsis as read by Dave, written by letterbox.com. You know, it's one of those things. I think they were fighting a bit with this title, The Tall T. And I'll ask you later kind of where you think that comes from, but they were really trying to find those taut, torrid, tremendous. Like they're trying to find what does this T stand for in that title?
I've been trying to figure out what the T stands for in the title.
I haven't got a clue.
Okay, well, it was adapted to the screen by Burt Kennedy from a short film or a short story called The Captives. Who's
still no T?
What's that?
Still no T in that.
No T in cat. Well, there's a T in Captive. That's not it. Written by Elmer Leonard. So,
there we go.
You know, he wrote 3:10 to Yuma. He's been adapted a million times on
Justified
projects.
I think is his as well.
Perhaps. And this was the first one, though. This was the first time anything he had written. It was a short story published in a magazine. The title is after the 10 Void Ranch. So this is the ranch he goes to at the beginning where he makes the bet about the bull to try to get a bull, and it falls apart, and he loses his horse, and kind of puts him in a situation where then he has to hitch a ride on this stagecoach, this doomed stagecoach. It was shot in the Alabama hills, Lone Pine, California. Looks a little like what's behind me, which is a home to a million movies: Tremors, Gunga Din, which was an inspiration for Indiana Jones, Jurassic Park, Star Trek, a million Westerns. There's a film festival in Lone Pines, the Lone Pine Film Festival, where they'll screen movies. They screen a lot of really interesting Westerns that are hard to find. And then you can actually go out on these tours where they'll take you to all these places. And a lot of these sets from the Tall T are still standing, and you can go out to the little bunkhouse they were hiding out at
and stuff.
Yeah, so it's a really interesting place to visit if you're ever just west of Los Angeles. It was not nominated for any awards. Of course, it was a B movie. It was nominated for AFI's list of the top 10 American Westerns. It did not make the list in the end. I thought it was interesting on that list. Cat Ballou was number 10, and Cat Ballou is the only one on that list that's missing from this list.
Oh, okay.
Kind of interesting that it's a according to AFI, a top 10 American Western, but doesn't qualify for the top 100 Westerns of all time. Maybe shows how international this list did get.
Yeah.
It's or how wide the genre like is, and when people are looking for,
Absolutely,
because that AFI list was 15 years old already. I mean, it was, I think 2004 they put that out, and there's nothing on it past I think it's 71. I think is the oldest movie on there. So I mean, there's decades not recognized on that AFI list.
On those AFI lists, and they do come back and update them every now and then. And I know they've added some newer stuff. But yeah, that's it's interesting when they broke it up in the genres. This one was considered, and Ride Lonesome as well. Okay, we're going to bring in a guest. We got a guest this week. I'm very excited. When I first conceived of this, Kevin, you were one of the first people I thought of. Honestly, we've had a lot of great talks about film and great talks about Westerns. Filmmaker, screenwriter, actor, Kevin Dory. Kevin, welcome.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, what's your history with Westerns? You watch a lot of them, as I can see from your letterbox.
I watch a lot of movies in general. I go through stages where a genre is the genre of the moment. A lot of the stuff on the top 100, I think, what am I at? I think I'm at 40 out of the 100. So quite a few of the top 100, but not as many. I know, Cam, you're probably twice that, correct?
I'm close. I'm in the 70s.
Yeah. So my dad was a big Western guy when I was a kid, so I've seen a lot through him, through his favorites and stuff like that, and it's a great genre.
That's great. And had you seen the Tall T before?
I had seen the Tall T. Criterion Channel had a renowned collection in like 2021, I think. I watched this and Seven Men from Now. That's the only two of these I've seen. But yeah. I saw it about, what's that, 4 years ago?
Yeah, that's pretty. They put out a beautiful box set too.
Right.
I think there's 6 of them on there. They're not all on there.
Yeah, I think 5.
Oh, 5 of them. Yeah. And like I say, they really do kind of run like a series. They really feel good together, and with these short run times, you kind of can't beat them.
Yeah, Seven Men is a lot like this, actually. Like, it has a very, very similar feel.
Yeah, and this one, something that jumped out, I'll say my first takeaway is that, it's based on this short story. It really, I mean, I've said the word so many times, it's so economic, but it has that level, and this is what the intro is about, it has that level of bullfighter tension that these guys they're captives, they're stuck in this thing. What's gonna break first? Who's gonna die out of this? Who's gonna get out of this? And it just boils it down to that simple good versus bad, and that's probably why it resonates so much with me. How about you, Dave? Do you have any early takeaways?
I did enjoy it. It had a level of melodramatic overacting that you can only really get away with in Westerns.
Right.
And especially in this era of Westerns.
Yeah. I think another one on those lists, I think Seven Men from Now is quite melodramatic. And there's the ones that take it a little bit more interior. I find they get really a little almost corny, but again, it's the 50s. It's a Western. Yeah, it's a B movie.
It's a 50s Western. You can get away with that.
Yeah, and I'm a little corny.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah.
I have no problem with it. It's part of the genre. It's part of what makes this genre so special. I think. I don't know that, and I think it's one of the reasons why. Just to go back, because we're going to keep going on it. Why I like this better than I liked Unforgiven.
I was going to ask Kevin. The most important question was what he thought of Unforgiven, but I was like, we won't derail it this early.
And then Dave,
Scott, you haven't even got your first point in yet, and you've already brought up Unforgiven, so that's great. What? How about you, Scott? Had you seen it before?
I'd never seen it before. I watched it yesterday, actually. It was yesterday, right? Or Saturday? Can't remember. Saturday? Okay. And so if we had filmed this right after, like we stopped, filmed, I would have had not a lot of nice to say. I'm not going to lie. But because I just felt weirdly disjointed. And then I stopped and thought about it. I'm like, so why do you have to lose this horse? Well, so he was walking and then the stage goes, okay. But then why did he do the bull? Oh, because we weren't. And like, it's weird that like, it all feels like separate scenes, but it makes sense. Like when you stop and like, oh, this is because of this. So we can get to this. Then we can get to here. Why did we have this scene where the coach hand was like, I don't like that guy, and she's this person, and we're talking about Stagecoach and the train coming through. Well, that gets re-talked about later. Well, you got the wrong Stagecoach because we have we already set up that this guy is only marrying for the money, pretty much, even though it sounds like he has some of his own. They're just trying two families arranged kind of thing. And I'm like, well, we set up that he has no character so that when he does what he does in the film, spot on. We foreshadowed that this is how this was going to go. It was funny because I asked because Dave watched before I did, and he was like, it's a bloodbath. It was I think like it gets really, I was like,
it could have been a bloodbath.
It could
because of the 1950s. My camera occasionally will zoom in like that.
That's how Westerns work. It could have been a bloodbath.
It could have been a bloodbath.
Zoom. One more zoom.
1950s didn't let it be a bloodbath.
I think it would be better if you had more zoom, Dave. No, but yeah. So,
I'll tell you the short story starts at the moment he gets picked up by the stagecoach. So
does he explain how he got there?
Yeah, so it starts with him on the side of the road with his saddle, waiting, and then he flags down the stagecoach. They explain, oh, we're not the regular stagecoach. This is a private one. They kind of explain all that. And Rintoon, who I thought sounded like somewhere, he was like Arlo Guthrie meets Boomhauer from King of the Hill. Like he kind of had this great way of speaking. He explains to him that, well, I made the mistake of going up to Tenvoord Ranch to try to. So again, I'm from Alberta. I mispronounce everything. I went up to the ranch to try to get a new bull so that I could build my ranch up. And yet again, I got caught in a bet and I lost my horse. And Rintoon's like, why do you let that happen to you all the time? So there's a little bit of a backstory, I guess, that he was the ramrod, he was the foreman at that ranch, and he keeps kind of getting himself in these unlucky pickles. So it's a little bit of his character.
I think the first bit works well because it kind of helps establish who everyone is as we go forward. Like it shows that Brennan is a good guy. He's got a good heart. He's going to get candy for the kid.
With the candy, yeah.
Like he's a caring, I hate to say sensitive, but he's a nice guy. And then we also see that Willard is a shit. Oh, can I say shit?
Sure.
It shows that Willard's a terrible guy. So it kind of sets things in motion so we know where everyone is in the universe of the characters.
Absolutely. And I really like that first act. And I love that they built it out. And, you met the kid, you met the station master. Because in the book, when he gets there and he says, where's the kid? Where's the station master? It's, oh, they're in the well.
Yeah.
But meeting them first, it's so much more impactful that, oh my God, these bad guys just killed these people,
Kind of reminded me of From Dusk Till Dawn. It felt like I was watching one movie and not realizing it was actually setting up for the actual movie. And the two takeaways I had when I first watched is, one, the long horizon shot with him coming in the credits. We just don't do that anymore. It's all CG credits. We just don't. And like the filmed in Technicolor, I was like, oh, I like that. I actually legitimately find that kind of. And two, when the boy, and this is just the boy goes, "Hey, there's a guy coming, Pa. There's a guy coming."
Mhm.
And the guy shows up and goes, "The boy's name is Jeff," and I've never. I somehow that does not feel Western to me at all. Between
Yeah,
that
or
and
even
my name
child.
is Jeff, I couldn't like. It sounds bad, but I'm kind of happy he was kind of shuffled off pretty early on, because if like they're like, "Okay, we're gonna go get the ransom money, Jeff, you stay here," I would have just lost it. Like it just like it doesn't feel like or Pat. It doesn't feel like Patrick. Doesn't feel like a country name to me.
You're happy that a kid is in the well because his name is Jeff.
I'm
deserves
not
to die.
happy by this, but it did prevent me from like, because it would have been a serious scene where like, we're going to kill everyone. What do you think, Jeff? And I would have been on the floor laughing.
Well,
Like,
it's
and it's
amazing.
just like,
It's amazing that it did happen off camera. And if I had a economy of setup criticism of this, which I don't really, but after they do they kill Rintoon, they decide they work out this new deal of like, oh, we're gonna rob her old man because he's got all this money. It's a ransom thing. Once they kind of work that out, they leave that station and they go off to their little hideout close into the mountains, and they make that kind of their. I thought, if I don't know if this makes the movie better, but if they had stayed at that station, it might have put a ticking clock on it that we have till 5 when that other stage comes through. So we have to get this deal done before that stage comes through.
That's a Hitchcock film. That's a different genre.
And it's also maybe geographically not possible because they ended up having to spend the night, and I liked that the husband had to go back and all that stuff where Frank is like, yeah, go, sure, I can go now, sure,
I like because they come back to that when Frank is leaving. Yeah, I kind of wish he just left. I don't like the turnaround. The turnaround bothered me.
Well, you knew he wasn't going to shoot him in the back.
Well, and that's because he's a good guy.
Yeah.
The other thing I didn't realize until you mentioned it in the intro was, except for the cave, like the mining cave, there's no interiors. We see them go into things, and then it cuts to another shot. We see them come out of things, cuts to another shot. There's literally, and I didn't realize it, outside of that cave where they hold them up,
mining shaft.
The mining shaft, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. Like, it's all day shoots, right?
Yeah, and that's that's part of the production value of shooting in Lone Pine. You get out in these rocks, and even just the any shootout where you kind of lose the geography of she empties the gun before the one bad guy Chink comes out to get on his horse, and Randolph Scott has gone around, and obviously Billy Jack. And his character's name was Chink, played by Henry Silva, and I don't, it sounds like a racial slur, but I think he was intended to be Spanish or Mexican. Henry Silva's apparently
Sicilian,
Spanish, yeah.
And went on to play Influence in the Dick Tracy movie, 1990.
Oh, neat.
Which is kind of hard to imagine.
Do we Dave and I just talked about that too, actually. Like the Dick Tracy movie.
Oh,
yeah, we literally talked about that over the weekend.
Silva was one of those guys that played whatever ethnicity you needed, because Manchurian Candidate, he plays a Korean guy, so he's all over the place.
Yeah, he's sort of racially non-specific,
and that kind of, like, when you think of the genre of film, and I think we bring this up on every one, but like, it's of its time when it comes to that kind of stuff, right?
And he's a very scary character, like he the way Silva plays it with a little bit more gravitas than maybe Billy Jack.
Oh, and the guns are always at the side. Like, he's so confident that he's like, I don't need to aim for you. I know I got this.
He's thirsty to kill. Yeah.
I say he's darker and has more gravitas than Frank, even the main bad guy, because I liked Frank. He was a nice guy. I cheered for Frank. I wanted, like Scott, I wanted him to ride off and not be overcome by the greed and turn around.
They
But
got
in
me.
the-
Frank's playing both sides all the time, though.
Oh,
Frank is
100%.
always doing what Frank needs to do, right? Like that's the whole thing. He's the prototypical everyone's good and got good and evil in them because he's just trying to do what keeps him alive, right? So he's playing both sides.
Very
Mhm.
much.
And like this, right off, be like, you know what? I got bested today. That'll always be tomorrow. But no, he's like, no, 50,000, which based on the conversion we just did is actually a lot of money to today's.
Mhm.
And he's like, nope, that's my breaking point. I want that money. And then he loses his life over it. Spoilers. But it's
I do think that they, in these movies, they always kind of feel like they've earned it. Like they kind of
They
feel
get
like
what's coming to them.
Yeah, it's owed to them. And if
Yeah.
they're going to take a bullet for it, it was worth it because they kind of, but it's interesting when he does turn around and come back, Randolph Scott kind of, Brennan kind of thinks that he has ridden off. He's not still kind of on guard. If I was him in that position, I'd maybe give it a few minutes.
Yeah,
to
they're
make sure
packing
this
up and
guy-
getting ready to go.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
packing up. He's kind of, and he's caught off guard, and he gives Frank 3 shots. Like as Frank's riding up, he fires 3 times before Scott hits him with the scatter gun. So Frank had his chance. He made his choice. I think he gets cut down.
I'm wondering if that's part of a Western, which is the good guys win.
Certainly
The
in
good
this era.
guys win.
Yeah,
Like,
in
look
this
at
era.
classic. That might be why I like Unforgiven so much, because the good guy isn't really a good guy that he's trying to be, and I think I appreciate that a lot more. And I think when you we talked about it in the last one, I'm pretty sure I did, or it was the after chat, which was like Hell or High Water. It's the system, not specifically like a Frank, but the system, and we're in the system, but the system is screwing me. Like it's not right.
Mhm.
And that I find that a lot more appealing, and might be why I really didn't dig into the Western genre as much till now.
I even think there's maybe a little bit of that in this because this guy is a millionaire, or he's got upwards to $500,000 is what they
Yeah.
say. And right away he's like, that's too much money for
That's
one
too much
man.
money. I don't know what to do with that much money.
Imagine if Randolph Scott met Elon Musk,
Yeah.
what would they think of this?
Elon Musk is
Oh.
no longer the richest man in the world as of right now. So,
Fine by me.
fine.
But
Yeah. The person who replaced him ain't better. So
what do we think about Maureen O'Sullivan in this? Maureen O'Sullivan plays
Kevin,
they really go out of their way to talk about how plain looking she is.
Yeah.
And what a role to take on. What would you think, Kevin, if they cast you as a real plain looking man?
Well, that would be suitable, but more, because she was
Aw.
in a lot of these movies, it's not a femme fatale, I guess, because it's not film noir, but that role would be played by someone in their 20s. She was 46, I think I read.
Yeah.
So it feeds into her self-loathing, might be a little too much, but to her self-image, because she's married this guy who she knows doesn't love her. She knows it's someone it's just a relationship that's going to be able to provide for her what she needs. So while it feels kind of mean to talk about her like that, that does feed into the way she seems to feel about herself.
And after the
in reality,
husband's killed, even Brennan points it out. He's like, you're in a lumber camp or whatever. You're in a camp of just dudes. You just married the next one that made sense.
Yeah.
Like and hence the turnaround between their relationship so quickly. I think is because her heart wasn't in it to begin with. And I think the guy that she marries, the shit, as it was pointed out earlier, is treated her that way as well. Like,
oh yeah,
I feel like what we didn't see on screen probably was a little more like Sarah plain and tall, just stay in the house. You're just gonna, you're gonna cook and clean, and that's your thing.
I think we get that impression just from their conversation in the wagon at the very beginning when they're in town. Like he's having the conversation. You just stay in your spot, kind of thing. So.
And Rintoon mentions he's like she was destined to be a spinster until he decided to fall on the sword, essentially.
Right.
And I think he was a bookkeeper for, like, he's basically marrying his boss's daughter.
Yeah, I
to
think
try to moving up the ladder, getting the promotion via marriage, essentially. And then so he made some choices where he was very quick to abandon her for his own safety, and they cut him down as he's trying to not escape but get away. There's a quick conversation where she's very upset in that moment, and Randolph Scott kind of points out, oh, she doesn't know what he did. They don't know that this guy basically sold her off and was not interested. I think once that reality hits her, it's a lot more clear that the marriage she was in.
I always got she was married to the idea of marriage, not the man.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is like, like as a young girl, she wrote like, my wedding would be awesome and we'll have a house and 2.3 kids. And that's what she was mad about losing, because with how quickly she turns on this. The minute he goes, yeah, he was kind of shit. There's that word again. The minute she goes, yeah, you're kind of right, actually. And now that I've seen what a real man can be, 100%. Like that.
There's often a scene in these Bedecker films where they're out in the wilderness. They've got probably one woman with them, whether they're taking her back to her husband or saving her from bad guys or are currently captive. There's often a scene where a couple of the bad guys that have been out on the range a long time just share a quiet moment about how lonely they are and how it's great being around a woman again finally. And there's even that scene in this where they're talking about, oh, when we go to this town, there's more women than men. And Billy Jack can't even imagine this world where there's women around. And even the little kid at the beginning, he's like, what's that town like? And the dad's like, there's people there.
Lots of people.
I think this, and Ride Lonesome especially, that theme of the lonely cowboy life. And Frank and Brennan have a really nice conversation about how it's not good to be alone, and he's like, you have a wife out there at your ranch? No, well, and Frank knows about that loneliness. They all kind of have a moment where they talk about that loneliness.
Well, it's not even just loneliness. I think there's something to be said about having like the other, as in like a woman or like just a different touch. In these films, it always feels like women are standing for like the men are wild and we're gunslingers and we just cut them down, and the women are more caring and we bring them back to their humanity kind of idea. And whether I agree with that or not, totally different conversation. But that's what I felt when they were getting at it. It was like, no, you've gone too wild. You've been 40 days in the out without knowing like a gentle touch kind of thing, right? Mm-hmm. So to bring you back to humanity.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's the case with all of them, though. I think Chink sees things a little bit differently, whether that's a front or not. He's approaching, when he's telling the story to Billy Jack is thinking one thing about how I think he's thinking what you're thinking, how nice it would be to be around this other type of person. I'm not sure Chink is that kind of guy.
And I think that's part of the genre, when they're not even like the bad guys who are Caucasian are always have like, they're more like Frank, in my opinion, where you can reason with them for the most part. When it's not, like in my head, the bad guy of this film might actually be the husband. So like less,
very much so. I mean, Frank, look how much Dave has a man crush on Frank here, and when it comes to, Frank
he was up there over really, he was spelling Frank and put it hearts instead of A's in his diary. I thought you knew
it. The idea that Frank really liked Brennan, like he really did.
Jimmy thought that was a great conversation. Like every time, I enjoyed that more than I think anything else in the film.
Yeah, I think that's the best scene in the whole movie is the discussion they have. And I think, I don't know if he likes Frank, but he likes what Frank likes what Brennan has. Like he wishes there was a point where, his life would have gone this way instead of this way. And he might've been the guy that's got the bit of land beside the Sassabee and stuff like that. Like it would be
Absolutely.
much maybe not easier lifestyle, but much less
No,
stressful
I honestly
life.
think that's what the money's for. He's after the conversation, he's already that money is for that life, and without that money, I don't have that life. And I think that's one of the reasons why he turns around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like-
and he even says that he doesn't like Frank, he doesn't like Billy Jack. He at one point he says these guys are fixing to kill you and the lady, but and Randolph Scott says and you too, and he says, well, you said it, I do ride with them. This is the life I've chosen.
I saved you from the well, is what he says.
Yeah, he saved them. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
There's
you'd be in the well back there if it wasn't for me, kind of thing.
Yeah. There's a line that Chink says where he says, what do you mean by that remark you just passed? And I always loved that line. It just kind of, what do you mean by that remark you just passed? And going back and watching all these old Westerns, The Gunfighter, 1950, the one of the movies that really influenced Unforgiven. That exact line is said again and again and again and again by one of the characters. He kind of keeps repeating it, and he really wants an answer. And it's really, I imagine it's directly a reference to that in this. It's really one of those like cowboy code things where it's like, I'm not going to sit here and let you just say whatever without some kind of, reach for my gun kind of moment. And
in modern day, it would have been like, do you want to say that to my face? Or what did you just say? Like Joe Pesci,
go ahead, make my day.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And
the funny guy, eh? Yeah, that kind of thing. Like
it's interesting, immersing myself in all these movies, how many things are coming back again and again, not just themes, but actual lines of dialogue. And the line that I had in the intro there's some things a man can't just ride around, is kind of a running theme in these Bedecker films. And it's a line that gets used multiple movies by Burt Kennedy. It's a very Burt Kennedy line of, there's just some things you can't ride around. Like at one point, they could have just taken off. They didn't have to wait for Chink and Frank to come back. They could have ran. And he tries to send Maureen O'Sullivan on her way, but she won't leave either. It's like, I think they felt a little bit of honor in finishing this the right way.
Or it would, especially because they know where he lives. There's a chance if they don't finish it today, they'll have to finish it another day, and it might not go the way.
Yeah. Or they'll find him at some point down the road for sure. Yeah.
Because they even say I think they were talking about going back to his ranch at some point. So
I think he did say he had a ranch on the Sassabee because that's how they collaborated his story of not riding shotgun.
Yeah.
And like, why is this stagecoach have someone riding shotgun if there's no safe on it? They were really hoping to just steal a safe and get on with their day.
I realized he told her that, and not the guys. When he's like, "You got to go. I'm going to finish this."
Right.
Ride south. You're going to see my ranch. He briefly describes it. And she's like, "No, I'm not leaving you." No,
But earlier when they were collaborating a story, it was mentioned that he had a ranch on the river there.
Yeah.
So I think they would have found him. He knew he had to finish the job. He's a no nonsense guy. Well, are we ready to get into some counts here? Should we get what do we think the horses on film count was? Remember, it's no horses, some horses, lots of horses, all the horses.
I think some horses.
Some.
Because I mean, they ran out of horses at one point. They had to ride donkeys, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, there just wasn't enough. There wasn't more horses than people, except in one scene.
There was the potential for lots of horses when they're at the tall. When they're at the tall T, there's lots of horses.
I was going to say there's almost more bulls than there are horses in this movie.
Yeah.
Like, the most horses we see on film at once is the carriage. I think the 4 pulling the carriage.
There's one point when he first gets up to the ranch when the horse busts through the fence and he has to kind of
and then you got
ramrod around it.
Yeah.
There's I'd say a good handful of horses there. There's the carriage. I'm going to say some horses too. I think it falls right in that some horses.
I debate no horses, metaphorically, because I feel like this is a very low count of horses for a Western. Very low.
You know, other than for them to get to town and back, it really, most of it was on foot. And the ride off into the sunset was on foot.
Aren't they leading the horse away at the end?
No, well, not
They
in
don't
that
have a horse.
shot. No, there is a horse hidden back behind the rocks.
Oh, okay.
And there was a horse there that ran off when Frank started shooting.
Right.
But that last shot where he throws his arm around her, of course, I wanted to use it as the last shot in the intro. And I went, oh, they're not even on horses in this shot.
I feel metaphorically no horses is what I would give.
Yeah, I would say it's some horses bordering on no horses.
Yeah. Compare minimum number of horses, and then
if you consider the carriage was mules too, if we're not counting, and I guess his ranch, that's part of the problem with his ranch is that it's all goats, and there's
I like that they make fun of him for that. For me, I was like, goats are terrifying. Like, give him 2 medals, like not one. Like, goats eat everything, they get out of everything. He's the real hero here. Like,
and you could also say that one of the bad guys is Mr. Tenvord, who ropes him into that bad bet to try to steal. Again, in the book, the story he tells is that it was a horse race. He went up there to get yearlings and maybe a seed bull. Tenvord ropes him into a horse race, which Tenvord knows he's going to win because he's got a whole paddock full of ponies that are fast, and he loses the bet and loses his horse. I think Tenvord is trying to make him destitute to the point where he'll come back and ramrod for him, because I think misses him.
My uncle rides bull in Arizona, and I've seen that. And I'm like, the minute they're like, you got to ride a bull, I'm like, this isn't going to go well. Like, I have been on the edge of a fence watching this happen and being like, this is terrifying. Like,
my cousins ride bulls, and or one cousin for sure, and he now does the commentary at the Calgary Stampede of bull riding. And I remember one parade, he was almost in a full body cast. Yeah. And, the interviewer was interviewing him like, will you ever walk again? Kind of question.
My uncle moves to Arizona to ride bull. I'm like, healthcare is whatever in the States. He's just,
oh my God,
worth it compared. Like,
and whereas my cousin's answer was more of, I think I'll be ready for the Stampede next year.
Yeah.
He was riding 3 weeks later.
Yeah, absolutely he was.
I woke up, my back made a noise, and I was like, I think I'm going to die here. Let alone these guys are just
when he got up, the bull smashed him down into the water. I'm like,
the water.
That's a lot of weight.
It looked like
going under. Yeah.
Bud Bedeker's background is as a bullfighter. He before getting into films, he was a bullfighter in Mexico and was kind of trained by one of the old famous bullfighters. He then when he started making movies, one of his first movies, clips of that are in the intro. It's called The Bullfighter and the Lady, and it's a little bit of an autobiographical kind of story. He also ended his career making a documentary about a famous bullfighter, and it was a movie that took him 15-20 years to make, and it was kind of his last piece of creative work.
Kind of thing.
Very much so. And he also, got into film as a wrangler. Think of Kevin, all the great wranglers we work with here in Alberta. And a lot of them probably have great scripts and would love to jump to the other side of the camera, I'm sure.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And, so these are guys that know, and, that's why when he fleshed out this first act, he added that little bit of bullfighting and I think it ramps up the movie in kind of a nice way.
I wish we could ask who the mouth was based on. He's like, I feel like there's the new Ramrod being he's just all mouth the whole time, and I'm like, it's so much so. I'm like, that is someone in this man's life. That is someone he wrote that character in.
Yeah.
To have him go through this.
Also, it's interesting. It's an uncredited role.
Oh yeah.
In the story, his name is Rance, so IMDb has put in the actor with the character name of Rance, but it's listed as uncredited. So, of course, back then the rules on credits were a little different. They only really had to put the main players. So there's often in these old movies kind of uncredited roles. But yeah, I almost feel you're right. There's someone in his past that he was taking.
I'm thinking some of those lines were pulled from real life, and this is him getting kind of.
Yeah. And how about ratings? Are we going to get into ratings? What do you think? So we're going to go out of 5, Kevin. So we're trying to track it on Letterboxd. So do you want to go first?
I know on my Letterboxd I gave it a 3 out of 5, but I'm kind of stingy on Letterboxd. Like,
I've never noticed.
Ask me all the time, what you got? No 5s. What's a 5? So,
In the Mood for Love, I think, is the only movie you've ever given a 5.
There are a handful. That is one of them. That's probably the most recent one that's got a 5 too. So I know I'm a 3 on Letterboxd. I probably should be higher than that. Do you guys do quarters or just halves?
Halves.
I'll go 3.5
for
the purposes of this, knowing how you guys have been talking. With Dave's 3 for Unforgiven. I mean, come on.
See, we're
finally some reason
all over the province. Just so you guys know, a 3.5 from Kevin. I mean, usually that means Martin Scorsese's involved, or like that's a pretty big swing. So
he only gave Empire Strikes Back 1.5 on Letterboxd.
Look, I gave it 3 there. I'm giving it 3.5. It's a very we didn't talk about the influences of these movies. Like lots of filmmakers beyond this point that did Westerns refer to this series of movies as something that was very influential to them. Like Sergio Leone says he ripped things off from this. Eastwood talks about how, it's just stripped to the bone. It's none of the razzmatazz. It's all that you need is what's here. So I like it in that way. I think it's, important that it's influential. So a 3.5 out of 5 is not an unreasonable score. My Letterboxd is a ridiculous score. So,
well, Leone fanboys over Bedecker, and he ran into him once at a film festival and ran up and bear hugged him and was like, "I stole everything from you."
Yeah.
And he doesn't even speak English very well. So
that's the charm of it.
Yeah, he really understood how influential these movies were. So that's a very, very good 3.5. I love that. Dave, where are you at?
3.5.
3.5. All right.
Yep. I enjoyed it. I want to leave room again. Like Scott, I don't have a huge background in Westerns. I've seen more than Scott, but way less than the two of you. So I think that's a good rating for me.
You need a ceiling.
It's not a 5 for sure. I'm not gonna blow Scott's mind and say that, but I think a 3.5 is definitely a good solid rating.
My mind's been blown.
Very fair.
Anytime you put a Western higher than Unforgiven, my mind is blown.
Yeah, I know.
There's gonna be a lot.
I know this is gonna be a common theme.
It is.
But it really, when it comes down to it, from what I have watched before, and Unforgiven is probably my ideal Western. Very close to it. On the last one I talked about pacing. This film does not have pacing or editing issues, and that's, I think, like I said, if I had watched it or we talked about this right after, I would have been like. But again, I started being like, why did we do this? Oh, he needed to lose his horse. Okay, why did we do that? Oh, he needed to be. I'm like, that's actually a lot tighter. I actually don't think you could, if you edited this anymore, you just have the bone. It's not 3.5 is probably where I'm sitting, honestly. I think that's a fairly fair. I love the characters, and unlike the professionals. I had Leon in my head for a sec. where the bad guy in that ended up just actually being sympathetic and like we whatever. In here, no, he's still the bad guy. It's so one of my favorite bad guy turns of all time is John Doe from Seven. Is when he's explaining why he did what he did. I go, I understand. I might have made a different choice, probably would, but I get where you get here. Thanos snapping his fingers. I'm like, why couldn't you just doubled up the resources? I know eventually. I get where he's going, but here I get Frank's side. I understand where he's coming from here, and so, but he was still the bad guy, right? So 3.5, I think, is pretty close. But I liked it a lot more than I thought it was going to when I first turned it on. Like I said, it feels like two different films, but that first little like 20 minutes is incredibly important for the next hour.
Right.
So.
You need that little hint of corniness so that when they ratchet up the tension, there's something at stake. And I think there's you could almost teach this movie in school when you're talking about going from a short story to a feature-length film. Sometimes, I mean, the process of going from a novel to a film is a very different thing because, you know, a novel usually has a great backstory and insight and all these things, and you got to break that down into 2.5 hours or 2 hours. This is going from I read the first 23 pages. That's all I could find online, and I haven't read the back end of it. But this is going from a fairly short story. I imagine it's maybe less than 50 pages in the end, into a 78-minute movie, which they build out a first act. It feels like everything from the story is in there and represented. I really think you could, like I say, it's a teachable, influential movie. I said right in the intro, it's my ideal style, my ideal length, my ideal setting. I'm at 4 stars for this, and you know, this Ride Lonesome, we got 3.5s. I'm going 4 just because it's so near and dear to me. You know, Randolph Scott's my guy when it comes to westerns, and Bedecker. Now
he's
that
got
I'm pronouncing his name
square
properly.
jaw that made me feel like that's like.
You know, it's interesting. He was the quote unquote model for the original Oakland Raiders logo.
Oh, neat.
The 1960 iteration of the Oakland Raiders NFL logo was Randolph Scott with an eye patch.
It's funny because I thought you were going to say Marlboro Man. I was like, I could see that too.
Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing too. I mean, this there's something, you know, the tall T, it was kind of a known thing that Randolph Scott was tall. He was 6'2", which by today's standards is not that tall.
I'm 6'2".
Yeah, like but by Western standards, he was considered, he played a lot of tall roles. There's that scene where he comes out of the mine shaft and he whacks his head. That was real. He really did that. And the actor really laughed at him. And Bedecker said, "Oh, let's turn around. Can you laugh again?" Again, one of those happy accidents, not unlike the Stormtrooper in Star Wars.
I was going to say, I think the Star Wars was a callback to that.
Yeah, it must have been. But
so.
The idea, because when he was at the ranch and someone laughed at him, he laid that guy out. Yeah. He was not the type of character who was going to stand there and be laughed at. Yet in this situation where suddenly Frank is in control, he's being laughed at, and he can't do anything about it, you know. And it's little things like that I pull out of these Bedekers, and I just go, you're just not finding that in other movies, you know. And that
it works for both characters there too, because it kind of humanizes Frank. Like, it shows that, you know, real life means something to him. Like, it's just
right.
Shit happens.
Right. He's not cleaning his gun and getting ready to kill him. He's not twisting mustaches. He really is just a guy who, this is his job. This is what he's doing.
Yeah.
You know,
it was having him get the coffee, and then it became kind of this callback where he would leave the mine shaft, get coffee, go back. And then it actually becomes a plot point when he's trying to lure the two into the, when he's like, you used it in the intro there, when he's leaning back, being like, you know.
Yeah, to me that was the Matador moment, when
Mm.
I was trying to juxtapose it with the bullfighter. That's the moment where he's flapping the red curtain and laying out, and just kind of that pompy moment of tension.
Oh, and he gives her such a small amount, like, just trust me on this, but I need you to, kind of play it up a little. And she got the stage notes. She was perfect and just did it. And
She
it
could have,
actually worked really
yeah,
well.
she definitely could have put herself in a lot of danger there if she didn't trust Brennan. Yeah. I
So
hear
I
a
think,
cat.
oh yeah.
It's the
Probably.
wolves howling at the moon here. Okay, so the kind of the last segment before we get into what we're doing next week is off the list. Are there any films off the list kind of around this, surrounding this, that you guys would like to see added?
Because they have such a broad definition of what a Western is, there are some things on the list I'm like, I really wouldn't have thought of that as a Western. So maybe I'm thinking a little outside the box and it's a more modern story than most of the stuff on here. But David Lowery, Ain't Them Body Saints, to me, is a Western, and one of my favorite movies from that year. Like, it's beautifully shot. Bradford Young's the DP. He does a fantastic job with it, and it's really good. I don't know if it's not well known enough, obviously, to be on this list. But if I was making the top 100, that would probably be on my top 100.
On the letterbox that we're creating for this, we're going to keep a running total of all these movies, and I'm 100% putting that on. That's a movie I watched for the first time this year, and it blew me away. It blew me away. I loved it.
Are you a Lowery fan in general?
Not necessarily, and I had it on my watch list since I joined Letterboxd. Almost like it's been there the whole time, and I finally got around to it, and I really enjoyed it. It's
so
beautiful.
good.
I
might have given it a 4.
Oh my goodness!
I smiled because I was like, oh, someone else here to dig in and like take the reins for me. I think Kevin actually made a really good point. And I think that's fundamentally why I decided to do this was the idea of what is a Western. Like, I think it's not just cowboy horses, gunfights, whatever, and we're starting to see that more and more. I think what it boils down to is there's something that needs to be done, and I don't really want to do it, but that's my job, or it needs to be done, and I'm not going to pass it off. And honor is maybe the word I'm looking for here, where it's like we talked about with the him sending her away so he can finish off the gunfight. Again, it's got to get done, and there's no procrastination. We're going to do it now. The situation is upon me, and I think that can be in almost any genre. Again, we talked about Mandalorian. That's a Western. Let's be honest here. Like it's Firefly is Western tinged physically and metaphorically. But like what is a Western is such a, like, when I said, hey, what's sci-fi? You'd be like, oh, this is what I have in mind. But that blurs lines too, right? Like Black Mirror, Jonas.
It's one of the things I really respect about this list, even though, we're here to agree with it, disagree with it, is that it really does pull in a lot of things that you wouldn't expect to see as a Western. There's lots of different nations represented. There's different directors represented. Yeah. I don't want, at the end of the day, at the end of 100 and some episodes, to remove all these things and fill it in with nothing but horse Westerns from the 50s.
Like, I could, if you could make the argument Easy Rider is a Western. I honestly think I could see that. And I don't think there's a single horse in that whole film. Like, it's a spirit. And I think that's where we're at. So yeah, Kevin, suggest a way. I think there's a lot more that can be. This list is a really odd list, and I think the comparison to the AFI as we chatted there, I think shows that pinning down what a Western is so hard. Like, it's not a film noir. Like Blade Runner is film noir, but yet it's a galaxy far, far away kind of idea, right? It isn't.
And
I get it.
is Blade Runner a Western? I mean, it was partially
I think-
written by the guy that wrote Unforgiven.
We talked about that on Unforgiven, I think.
Yeah.
And like I could see that. Is film noir just modern Western? Really, it's a guy being thrusted into something. He's like, nope, I got to see this through.
And there's noir Westerns, you know, Anthony Mann, and we're gonna get to some of those too coming up. Like, genre is a weird thing, and we're never gonna 100% define it. There's always gonna be things that you know subvent it, but yeah, I think that's a very good suggestion. Ain't Them Body Saints is a beautiful movie. I would go deeper in more Bedekers. I'd say Seven Men from Now. I'd say Decision at Sundown. Buchanan Rides Alone, Comanche Station. These are, I wouldn't necessarily add Westbound or some of the other ones, but I'd load this list with Bedeker Scott films.
I've only seen Seven Men out of the 5 or the 6, whatever we're considering. But I actually think I like Seven Men better than this. I like this a lot, but I think, granted, it was my first one, so it probably caught me by surprise, and I wasn't expecting it, so it probably made a big impression.
Mm-hmm.
But it's as good as this, if not better.
It's the first one of these that I saw too, and I watched it, and then I watched Ride Lonesome, and you know that kind of changed my whole Western journey.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I think some of that renowned cycle would be, if we're replacing one for one, I think it would definitely be something off of that.
Mm-hmm.
And just as a straight one for one replacement.
I wouldn't like to see this one leave the list, but yeah, you're right. If we said, okay, you can only have one, or you can only have two, there's definitely ones. They're very replaceable with each other. They're very interchangeable. And like I say, they really play out like episodes of an anthology series. It's we can't recommend them enough.
It'll be interesting to see where Ride Lonesome lands in comparison to this once we get to that.
Right. This one's at 25. Ride Lonesome is top 10. It's at number 6. Very well respected, and it gets a little bit darker. Mm-hmm. There's a few kind of thematic differences, but still very much in the vein of this economic, lonesome cowboy kind of tale.
Mm-hmm. I did like the fact that it was small. That's another, I said that about Unforgiven as well. I think very few characters per se, even like the professionals, you had all, like at one point you had the whole gangs and there's a big shootout and you have all that, right? This is a small film. Hitchcock is what it's reminded me of, honestly. More than once. Again, if you put the timer on with the Stagecoach, that's it's name the Hitchcock films, so many of them. At that point where it's just, here's your deadline, this is what we're trying to do, this is how long you got to do it, right? And I honestly don't know if that would have made it a better film. But
yeah, I mean, it's debatable. I wouldn't want to do anything to make these movies bigger. I think what makes them special is that they are small in a way.
In this special edition, which they're releasing next week, Frank fires first.
Yeah, he did. He fired 3 times. Well, next week or 2 weeks from now, we're going to go every 2 weeks. I keep forgetting on this. We're going up to number 12 on the list, a movie that would be considered a little bit bigger, but still kind of contained all in one town. 1959's Rio Bravo, directed by Howard Hawks, starring John Wayne, Dean Martin, Ricky Nelson, and Angie Dickinson. It's 141 minutes. You could watch 3 Bedekers. Come on.
Wait, John Wayne did a Western?
He's done a couple.
I heard he's done a couple.
Yeah, he's done a couple. Between war movies and Westerns, he stayed pretty busy.
Yeah.
Have you seen that one, Kevin?
My letterbox would have you believe that I haven't, but I'm fairly certain I have. That's one thing about the top 100 list. I went through it, and I'm like, that's not checked off on my letterbox, but I'm fairly certain I've seen that. But I don't like saying I've seen something unless I have a vivid memory of seeing it, but I'm pretty sure I've seen it.
Yeah, we say BLB before letterbox when you try to remember it.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's tricky to place exactly that, because even that particular movie, there's movies like El Dorado and stuff where the kind of the same actors are showing up and the story is very similar. And You're
Yeah.
like, oh, did I see that one? Or that was my experience with the Man with No Name trilogy.
Mm.
Other than The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, which I watched recently, I can't remember what scene is from which one, and I look forward to watching all those again.
Recently, for the first time.
No.
Okay, I was like,
yeah.
like,
I've seen it a lot of times, but we were
Oh.
camping and we had the Leone trilogy DVDs and no internet, so we did watch. We watched that and
maybe that's what a Western is.
yeah, maybe
Yeah, maybe.
All right, well, that's our third episode. We'll be back for our fourth episode for Rio Bravo. Let's plug some stuff. Kevin, what's going on in your world? Where can we find you? What's your world?
I have nothing to plug. I'm not on social media. I don't have a podcast. The letterbox thing there, you can read my thoughts on movies. They're all brief. That started back when I was someone who thought Twitter was an okay thing and did little capsule reviews on Twitter every day. So most of my reviews are like 180 characters or less. So that's all I got is my letterboxed.
I love following your letterbox because you do watch a lot of movies. I feel like you get to the theater more than anyone that I know, and you really do. You deep dive. You watch a lot of movies that people have never heard of. You watch a lot of Canadian film. You support a lot of your friends that have done films here in town. I really appreciate your letterbox a lot.
It is good. The only problem is if I start something, I have to finish it. And the number of things I've started where I'm like, I could quit now 7 minutes in and go do something productive. And I just end up watching the whole thing. Can be a huge time suck, but hey, you never know. There's going to be that one thing at minute 67. You're like, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
And not to tell tales, but as a screenwriter, I steal stuff from everywhere. So if there's that one good thing at 67 minutes, it was worth watching.
It's all research.
No,
Absolutely. 100%.
Stealing is, I actually legitimately think, like, because you always hear there's like 7 stories, the hero's journey or whatever, right? And we're just remixing it as we go forward, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And you can learn more from a bad example than a good example, right?
This is true.
Sometimes
make sure I never do that thing they just did.
Right. Yeah. Or they did that in this because they were faced with this in my script. I'm going to fix that. Yeah. Absolutely. That happens all the time.
You learn more from 2s and 9s than 7s. Like, absolutely. Yeah.
Let's jump to Dave. Dave, what's going on in your world?
Oh, well, you can find me whenever I get around to it on my main channel, youtube.com/the rathole DOTCA. That's the rathole.ca, but they don't like URLs in their URLs. Sundays, you can find me on Spill the Geek T, youtube.com/@SpillTheGeekT1. Tuesdays on the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS, /the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS with 1L. And the first Thursday of every month on the Happiness Patrol, along with Cameron and Scott, youtube.com/@Happiness Patrol Show. So come check us out. And the first season, we're talking about Star Wars. So a different sort of Western.
Cam's talking about Star Wars?
I can't imagine.
Know, right?
I can't imagine.
There's been like, I thought I was a Star Wars guy, and then all of a sudden I hear Cam go off, and I'm like, I'm in like the shallow end with like weighty, like floaties on, being like, I like the Star Wars. like it's so just like, and then Jess and Mel on that too. If you haven't seen an episode, like they're so like, I'm the lowest on that run.
Oh my God. They bring so much about, I mean, I've always been a Star Wars guy, but it's always just been the movies. And Jess and Mel know so much about the books and the lore and the backstories, and like hearing Dave describe Jess walking him through Galaxy's Edge and telling him the background of every little thing at Galaxy's Edge, and like I'm so jealous. I need to do the Disney World tour with people more knowledgeable than myself. Scott, what other than Happiness Patrol, the first Thursday of every month, where can we find you?
I'm doing a podcast called Horses on Film.
Oh,
it will come out every 2 weeks.
About Westerns.
About Westerns, I hear. Yeah. I'm learning what a Western is, or I'm deep diving into what a Western could be. Breakfast Scotch National. Myself and a couple of guys post 3 times a day where we try to put some light to the stories that are on the news, and it can be a lot. We have channelrot.com is new. It's looking at the philosophy of things. We just did the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1987 cartoon and about the philosophy behind that. Short little 250-ish word diatribes. We are doing reviews of video games on polygonal nonsense. I put up we're doing happy stories, trying to do one a day for positivity for creative, unique news and technology stories. I'll let you abbreviate that. And Pawn and Pixel, we're going to start it up. It'll be, by the time you guys see this, it'll be going, where we just sit down, chat. I actually had Dave on.
Yes.
Yeah, Dave will be on the next episode. We're just trying to make sense of the game industry as a whole, which is, that's like trying to figure out what a Western is. Like, it's so all over the place. And week to week, for the episode with Dave, I had to change the show notes 3 times between when we talked about doing it and when we actually did it, because the industry moves that fast. So it's a lot, but I am enjoying all of it. I do enjoy our chats. Cameron, what are you up to?
See what yeah, look, a little segue. We're doing this where, you can follow me on letterboxd.com/Cameron Chapman. I created a letterbox for this as well, /Horses on Film. We're on YouTube at Horses on Film. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, you want to make fun of me in any way, shape, or form, tell us what your favorite Western is. Email us at horsesonfilm@gmail.com. Guys, this means so much to me that we got another one of these in the can. We'll keep rolling them out. I hope everyone's enjoying it. I'm loving this. I love talking movies. I love talking anything. Luckily I was able to talk at a panel down at the Calgary Film Festival this past weekend at time of recording, and we got into a discussion about the ethics of AI in filmmaking, and so much participation from the audience. Great panel of people from post-production and producers. We had a gentleman there, Samuel, who writes the policies, national policies for the Directors Guild of Canada. We had people from IATSE in the crowd asking questions, people from ACTRA with their concerns. It really was a special kind of moment where, talk about an industry that's changing very quickly, bringing AI into our toolbox.
And it's hit in every industry. That's like, and
Right.
It's the interesting thing with this one is the concerns that one industry have are the same concerns every other industry is having, where I don't think we've hit this kind of in film and television since VHS, like home video being like,
I mean, there's been some discussions, when CG technology came in, the actors all thought they were going to be replaced. When we switched from shooting film to shooting digital, we thought we would lose jobs on set. There's copyright issues, there's job loss issues, there's the eventual destruction of mankind as we know it possibly.
The list is so long of how AI is going to change.
It's going to change things, and approaching it with ethics in mind, getting consent, getting things written in contracts, getting ahead of it so that we're not chasing it is going to be a big deal. And
aren't we already chasing it?
I was thinking that in my head. I'm like, I think that Pandora's box has been opened already.
Very much so. And the less we can chase it, obviously, the better. I'm an optimist, and I outed myself as an optimist big time in that room, full of a lot of very scared, very pessimistic people. And new equals fear. It's always going to. At the end of the day, I mean, we are humans. We like human stories, and we endure.
Can I recommend a documentary on this?
Absolutely.
Okay, so in '92, James Cameron shot a documentary called Terminator 2. And what it was, think it was 92 or 91. That's why I'm slowing down. I'm like,
I think we have to end on that. That's too good to end on. So thank you again, Kevin, for joining us. I really hope we can get you back.
Yes, I can. I had a great time.
All right, we got hundreds of episodes of this, so I'd love to have you back. And thank you,
actually,
David,
for the 7. I forgot the name. The other one you guys keep mentioning. This
7 Men From Now.
7, yeah.
7 Men From Now. Yeah, if we do a 7 Men From Now, and I'm sure there's a whole host of these on the list. I'd love to talk with you about them. So
sure, anytime.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much, all. I want to thank one last person. Brett Alec Bailey composed our theme song. It's beautiful, and it's a great way to end every episode. So take her away, Dave. Thank you very much, all. It's going to be a nice day.